カブラちゃん、走れるようになりたいかい？
私は
All right, my friends, we just got done watching Call of the Night Season 2, Episode number 4. Season 2? Season 3? Season 2? Yeah, Season 2. Here's the thing. I'm going to start off this video with asking you, what did you think about this episode? What do you think about this storyline? What do you think about what they've introduced to us? Let me know that in the comments down below. Of course, I'm going to give you guys my color. I'm going to give you my opinion on the show. As I always do, is what I'm here for, is provide reviews for each week. But I really want to know what you guys are thinking about the show, because here I come across the second episode in a row for Call of the Night that I, frankly, didn't like. I told you guys maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, maybe last episode, maybe the one, like, I think it was like 2 episodes ago, I had told you guys, like, hey, I'm coming to a realization that Call of the Night is centered around just vampires turning vampires and then just having fun at night. And ever since I had that dawn, that realization of just like, is that really what the show is centered around? Is just vampires or people who were, you know, struggling in life, who became vampires and are just infinitely having fun at night. And, you know, some of them have jobs like nurses and things like that. But like really the crux of it is just to feel free at night. And ever since I had that realization, I'm like, that is dumb. And then the other kind of, not realization, but, you know, we have Nazuna, and we have Nazuna and our main boy, right? And the other thing that I had was like just the fact that he's 14, right? So we have Nazuna and 𝐒𝐻. And it was just the fact that he's 14. He's basically just doing whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, with no parental nothing, with no instigation of police or rules or anything. He's just some random little kid that's just out at night all the time with Nazuna. And although it is what it is, I'm just like, meh, you know, and it's those two things, I don't want to say have ruined this show for me, but have made me more critical for sure. So as I transition into this episode where it's all about Kabura, right? That's her name, right? Kabura, yeah. It's all about Kabura, and you know, we could put 2 and 2 together that somebody was a patient at this hospital, and we find out that Kabura was actually the patient, and Nazuna, or a form of Nazuna, was the nurse. And it looks like Nazuna, or the past version of Nazuna, you know, before they keep saying that, hey, they're the vampires, over time their memory just lapses, so they could go through a few different personalities. To combat that, Cabra, you know, had her blood put in a pack so that she could always ingest her blood to remember her past self, which is super smart. But it looks like basically the long story short of it is Cabra was a long-standing patient in the 80s, and you could tell that this was like, you know, the 80s, that she was, you know, long-standing patient in this hospital in the 80s. And she was going through a tumultuous time. You know, she hated her father, she hated her mother, she hated her friends, she hated her things, she hated life. And Haru, aka Nazuna, was kind of like her savior in life, and she was like falling in love with her, whatever, and struggling with those feelings. And then because of that realization, Nazuna, or Haru, or a form of Nazuna, whatever, ended up turning her into a vampire, and now she is free and she's having fun and blah 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 blah. That's the crux of the episode, essentially, was Kabura's past. And I don't think it was bad, but it kind of just felt like a nothing burger. You know what I mean? It's like how, at the end of the day, the show is, for me, you know, the show is centered around 𝐒𝐻 and Nazuna and Akira. And then on like a 4th string would be Anko and Maharu. You know, because Maharu is 𝐻𝐻's friend. He has dealings with the vampires. And then Anko and her Buffy the Vampire Slayer arc, you know? But really, the show is around Nazuna 𝐒𝐻 and their 1-year timeline to turn him on whether he's going to be turned or not turned or whatever the case is there. So as we explore the side characters, I don't mind it, but I go back to like the show centered around just vampires having fun at night, and it just ruins the show, and it just makes it go like, okay, but what is the purpose? You know, so now we find out that Cabra was sickly, not dying, but just sickly, and hated everything, and she got saved, aka by Nazuna, or a form of Nazuna, or Nazuna's former self, or whatever. So, okay, what does that do for us as a viewer, as a consumer of the show? How does that move the needle forward? Is it now Nazuna discovered a piece of her past before where her and Cabra may have had this thing? Does that kind of implement, or does that kind of substitute, or does that kind of put some memory back in Nazuna of who she was before? Does it not? Does it matter? And then let's say she does remember a little piece of who she was before, right? This other vampire, because she was obviously been a vampire for maybe longer than 40 years that she thinks. Because she was like, I'm 40. Is she really though? You know, because if this anime is in semi-present time, 40 years ago, she's probably double that, you know, so she probably has her age wrong. But she's probably 40 up to the point that she remembers, you know, and she probably became a new version of herself or something like that. Something stupid. But like, just let's say she remembers. What does that do? If she remembers a past version, or she's like, oh shit, like that's who I was. What does that do between her and 𝐻𝐻's relationship? And then has she really never been in love before? And some of the things that she's never felt, is that true? So I guess it poses some questions, and then it poses like, but what is it? Does it benefit us? I don't know. So anyways, I'm just feeling types of ways. You know, at the end of the day, I watch Call of the Night because of the beautiful animation and the interesting relationship between 𝐻𝐻 and Nazuna. But then as it begins to poke and prod at some of the side characters and the story, and then I land on like, so the story is just vampires having fun at night. I am like, that's dumb. So then that makes me have bigger feelings about the show. So I'm like, man, I don't know. Again, I'm going back and forth a lot, but like, I just don't know if my hype and how, like, I just don't know if, like, you know, where I had the show season 1, like season 2 is kind of diminishing the way I feel about the show. Now it's still very beautiful. The animation is still crazy. Like all the things I love about, like, you know, the core of the show, still there. But then it's like some of the deeper plot lines and stuff like, we're very loosey-goosey here, you know? So anyways, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I was kind of all over the place this episode, but I think this was like a 6 out of 10. I think it was fine. I don't really like the Cabra storyline. It does nothing for me personally. All it does is maybe provide a little color that Nazuna was some past version of herself before and whatever else. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, just like I asked in the beginning of the video. I'm very interested to see what you guys think. All right, I'll see you guys next week for episode number 5. Peace.